Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to our Friday live stream. We like to call it a Football Friday, even when there's not a lot of football going on. We're going to be talking football here. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to everybody for joining us. We appreciate it. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by the estimable Jerry Hamilton. We'll get into a lot of the offseason conversation. There's another way too early mock draft that has the Longhorns dominating the early part of the first round for 2027. We'll get into that. Reddit, the Reddit college football social media account, they actually put out a strength of schedule graphic based off of last year's rankings. We'll see where the Longhorns strength of schedule ranks on there as well. But of course, the show belongs to you. Whatever you guys want to talk about, throw it out there. Questions, comments, we'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. Just throw out a super chat. Thanks to our friends Garage Beer for sponsoring this episode of On Texas Football. We'll tell you more about them later. Shout out to Prize Picks as well for being one of our sponsors. Jerry, let's start with the kind of a good news, bad news here, because I've been keeping track of these way too early mock drafts. And I'm kind of a mock slut, so I'll look at any mock draft. But I do understand that some are more respected and reputable than others. So I'm not going to share all the mock drafts with you guys. Only the ones that I think are, obviously the most credible mock drafts. And so I've been keeping track of these. And we'll talk about Pro Football Focus here in a second, because they have a mock draft, at least their 2027 way too early mock draft. But just to keep everybody kind of up to speed with what's going on, Nate Tice, who does great work for Yahoo Sports, he put out a top 25 prospects list for 2027, and he's got 4 Longhorns in his top 9. Jordan Reed is an ESPN analyst, and he's a draft analyst for ESPN, and he has 4 Longhorns in his way too early mock draft. He's got 4 in the top 11 picks. Todd McShay, everybody respects Todd McShay. We talked about his mock draft, 6 Longhorns in the first round total, which would tie the record for first round draft picks for any program in a single draft. Matt Miller, who we like Matt Miller, he hadn't put out a way too early mock draft, but he's a great draft analyst for ESPN. He said via tweet, I think this was yesterday, that Texas should have 4 to 5 first rounders, kind of based on his research. And then we get to Pro Football Focus. And here is their way too early mock draft, which we talked about a little bit before the show, but they have 4 Longhorns in the top 10, 5 in the top 20. Here you go real quick. Number 1 overall, that Pro Football Focus is, you take it with a grain of salt. They base theirs on their analytical model. They have Julian Sandgun number 1. They have Jeremiah Smith going number 2. So they got Ohio State going 1 and 2. They got Dante Moore at 3. Then they got Arch Manning at 4. Leonard Moore, the corner from Notre Dame, at 5. Cam Coleman at 6 to the Vegas Raiders. Colin Simmons right after that to New Orleans Saints at 7. And then they have, here you go. You got Trevor Gooseby at 10 going to the Atlanta Falcons. So they still managed to get 4 Longhorns in their top 10. They got Rasheem Bowles, actually. Shout out to Rasheem Bowles, because his draft stock is starting to increase a little bit. He's at 20, going to the Texans, by the way. Shout out to the Texans. So they got 5 in the top 20. So, Jerry, so that is the good news. The good news about Texas. And the bad news seems to be, and shout out to Reddit, because they did a lot of research here. They went through every FBS college football program and did their strength of schedule. They have Texas with the toughest strength of schedule in all of college football. And they claim, Jerry, that it's not actually that close.
They claim Kentucky are way ahead, right?
They claim, here's what, I'll just throw it out there really quick and get your thoughts, Jerry. So Reddit College Football, they did their own analysis, and they put up a really good graphic about strength of schedule for all 138 FBS teams. And they claim in their analysis that the gap, the biggest drop anywhere in the chart, is from Texas at the number 1 toughest strength of schedule to number 2 Kentucky. That's the biggest drop. That's a scary thought.
Yep.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah, no, it is. And look, that's kind of been my whole point, for as we started talking about the 26th season, is I'm not sitting out there on the 12-0, 11-1 train, because I look at the schedule like, you only have 1 off week now. By the way, you add a 9th SEC game, and now look at your schedule with only 1 off week, not 2. You've had the luxury of having 2 off weeks. Now you have 1. And this schedule is easily the most difficult schedule Texas has played under Steve Sarkisian. I don't even think it's close. I mean,
Mhm.
I really don't, because when you look at Texas' schedule, I mean, we bring it up all the time. There's just two. It's even more so than the teams you play. It's
Yeah.
everything about the schedule for me. It's the teams, one. It's the quarterbacks, two, that you're playing. It's the coaches. I mean, Lane
Yeah.
Kiffin walks onto the style. He's arguably as good as there is as an in-game offensive play caller. I think he's probably the best in college football, right? And
Yeah.
then you look at the venues you're playing at, the night games, and you look at it all now. Where this schedule could get a little on paper a little easier if Trinidad Chambliss isn't eligible this year, but let's say for right now he is. This schedule is absolutely brutal, Rod. You could look at it any way you want, and you could say road games hard, on non-conference much more difficult than last year. Even UTSA and UTSA and Texas State are much better than the three
Yep.
schools Texas played last year. So
Yep.
any way you look at this, John Sumrall, Florida's going to be a better football team. Lane Kiffin, LSU, going to be really good. Drinkwitz is a really good
He
football.
is.
Wins at Missouri, and you go up there. First time Texas has played up there in a while. Texas has never played at Tennessee. That is a hard place to play. So any way you slice this schedule, it's much more difficult. It's easily the most difficult in the Sark era, Rod. I mean, I don't know. We're gonna break the thing down all summer, but I don't even think it's close to anything Texas has played before.
I think you're right, Jerry. And just to go, we talked about obviously the strength of schedule graphic from Reddit College Football. Don't forget Bill Connolly, when he was doing his SP Plus rankings, he also, based on his analytical model, has Texas with the toughest, based on his SP Plus rating, has Texas with the toughest schedule in the country as well. So no matter which way you look at it, a lot of the models where they be analytical or based on last year's rankings, they're still coming back with Texas having the toughest schedule in the country. So they also are one of, I believe, 13 FBS teams that don't play an FCS opponent. So
right, yeah,
like you said, no bye week, and you also ain't getting that little break. Playing an FCS opponent too, where you can rest a lot of guys and take guys out early. You ain't getting that on this schedule.
And Rod, think about this. So quarterbacks you play. Some people have Julian saying going top 5, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Mateer, second year. I know we all have fun with Mateer. He should be a better player on some level than the year before. Ole Miss, if Chambliss plays, who knows where he goes in the draft? He's really good. Kamario Taylor. That guy's a problem as a quarterback in that scheme.
Yeah.
Missouri, we'll see on them. But Sam Leavitt, that's late in the year, so he's had 6-7 games playing for Lane Kiffin. So he's probably going to be playing near his best football, assuming that foot's healthy, when Texas rolls in there. A&M, Marcel Reed in year 3, whatever we say about him, those guys are normally better players the more they play, right? Just like anybody else. We can't say Arch is going to be better, but nobody else is. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. So, but then you go to running backs. And you're playing Jaden Baugh, Kejuan Lacey, and Ahmad Hardy in 3 out of 4 weeks. I mean, so boom, then you get hit with that. In wide receiver groupings, Ohio State, probably the best in the country.
Yeah.
I think Texas may get some run as the second best in the country. Florida is right there with Texas. I mean, Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown, Singleton's fast as lightning. I mean, their 3 can roll with anybody. And then you get down, LSU's going to have guys. A&M's wide receiver core. A&M's wide receiver core is going to be
nice.
Really good.
It is. It's going to be a good one.
Look at any position on the offense and say Will Muschamp and this Texas defense are going to be challenged more so than any schedule Texas has played.
That's a good point. I agree. You play elite personnel.
Yes,
at those positions, and he starts off obviously with Ohio State early in the year. It gets me to a question, and shout out to my man Hank South because he threw it out there as one of our sideline debates. So talking about the schedule, might as well throw this discussion in there. We picked trap games for Texas earlier, and I think it's going to be good because there could be a few trap. I won't reveal it. I won't spoil it. No spoiler alert here. But we did discuss that, and that will be a topic that you guys will be able to see that video coming up this weekend. But that's the thing about this schedule too. Is actually was it was tough to pick the trap games because I don't feel like there's a bit of a letdown on the schedule to say, oh no, this is the trap. I feel like it's almost a trap schedule. I feel like it's more of a trap schedule than a trap game specifically for Texas.
And Rod, your point, you played it. You don't get up emotionally for every opponent. It's humanly not possible.
Yes, you can't do it.
And so when you play a tough schedule, if you're not up for them, you have a chance to get dotted pretty quick. I mean, that's the reality.
Yeah,
that's the reality.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, Kentucky shouldn't have been on Texas level, and neither Mississippi State. And both of those teams on the road made those games really, really interesting. Come down to the wire. So there's gonna be a game this year. We just don't know what the trap game is. Where an inferior opponent has got no business playing with Texas, and they're gonna play them down to the wire. We know that. We know it's going to happen. It'll happen to the 05 Texas team. It's going to happen to somebody. It's just the way it is. And I think for Texas, that's going to be the challenge. Can you go win some ugly games this year? Can you want to win ugly? You're not going to be able to get up and peak for all of those games. The Ohio State game, the LSU game, the Ole Miss game, the A&M game, the Oklahoma game. Like half the damn schedule are going to be kind of big-time blockbuster matchups. I think you'll have a lot of night games, too. I've been saying that for a while.
Yeah, for sure. Rod, how similar is it to the 2005 schedule? When you think back on it, you were at Ohio State instead of home, okay? Rice, Louisiana, Lafayette, not good teams, but so that one's a little less. But, Missouri was ranked pretty high when you went up to Missouri, if I remember right. If I remember right, that they were ranked high. And Texas played a number at Oklahoma State. I mean, look, when Texas played, Missouri wasn't ranked. Colorado was ranked 24, right, in Austin. Texas Tech, 10 in Austin, right? A&M wasn't ranked. So, no, it wasn't even tough as that. I just look back on it. I was wrong. It wasn't as tough as that schedule.
The 08 schedule was
this schedule's much tougher.
The 08 schedule is the last schedule I remember thinking, good Lord, it's a murderer's row. Is this the toughest schedule Texas had since thinking about that 08 schedule? 08 schedule, that was the peak of Big 12 play. Like there was no year, I think, in Big 12.
You're right. That was the year, Rod, 100% right.
That year, what did you play, 5?
It was Oklahoma was 1. Missouri was 11. Oklahoma State was 7. Tech was 6. That was 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
And that was at Texas Tech. So that was 4 games in a row against teams ranked top 11 in college football.
That 08 was that year. And I remember but that team answered the bell. Like they were, but of course, obviously that Texas Tech game, they came up short, but that's what this team is going to have to do. They're going to find a way to win some ugly, tight games because there's no way, like you said, you're going to be able to get up for all of those matchups. So it's an interesting conversation. Like I said, good news, bad news for Texas this offseason. The good news is Sark has assembled possibly the most talented team in college football for 2026 season.
Yeah.
On the other end, the bad news is you probably have the toughest schedule in college football for 2026.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. So some people are asking questions in here. Recruiting for Texas. Somebody's brought up Noah Roberts. We think Texas will have a good day.
Oh, all right. A nice little tease there. I like that. I see people getting excited about the Noah Roberts. We think that's happening like this weekend?
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. That'd be nice. All right. Okay. Before we I want to get to some questions here. I know we got a couple of questions and I got a few topics I want to bring up before we do that. Let's thank our lead sponsor. Let's thank our friends over at Garage Beer. We appreciate Garage Beer. Hey, the garage is always open. Now, a lot of these beers, they want to impress you with their fancy ingredients or their magical process, right? Their magical brewing process, or they want to take you through the rich history of their brew and the rich history of their company. My friends at Garage Beer, they want to save you all that. They know what only matters to you when it comes to your light beer is how good it tastes, right? And how many calories is it? Well, our friends at Garage Beer, they have mastered and checked all those boxes, right? It is crisp, it's refreshing, it is flavorful. It's only 95 calories, beer-flavored beer. I can vouch and tell you that it is damn good light beer. Our friends over at Garage Beer, they pride themselves on making beer perfect for the weekend, to get the weekend started the right way, and make sure you do it with our friends over at Garage Beer. It comes in traditional, but also comes in the lime. I'm a big fan of traditional. As a matter of fact, I got to check and see if they got some garage beer up here. I've not been to the store here in Idaho, so I'll see if they got some garage beer up here. But usually, you guys know, down in Austin, I keep the fridge stocked with garage beer. So thank you very much to our friends over at Garage Beer for sponsoring our Friday live stream. Before we get back to it, let's also thank our friends over at Prize Picks as well. We appreciate them, and you will too. Our friends at Prize Picks, folks, they have made the sports viewing experience just that much better. I'm telling you, whether you're talking about basketball or football or baseball or any sport, hell, even esports, our friends over at Prize Picks have set out to make the experience even that much more fun. So now every possession matters, every at bat matters, every shot, every pitch. You're locked in from start to finish, and you're not just watching anymore. You've got a little juice in it as well, and there's a chance for you to end up on the upside of things. So the best part is it's easy, no deep dives, no complicated nonsense. You're just picking more or less on player stats, points, rebounds, hits, strikeouts, whatever you're already watching. You can build your lineup, submit it, and you're good. It takes minutes. It could take you seconds. All right. Basketball, baseball, golf, hockey. Also, you can mix and match. So you take your favorite player on your favorite team that's really hot, and you can pair that with other sports and other athletes across different sports. And that's what I love about it. So whatever's on, it fits. So today we're going to go with Marcus Smart to go more than 5.5 rebounds plus assists. I think that's a good, I like that. It's a good pick. He's been all over it lately, averaging 9.4 in his last 5 games against Houston. Feels smart. Get it? We're also rolling with lifetime Longhorn Jordan Spieth to go less than 71.5 strokes. Last time he teed it up at Blue Monster, he fired a 65. So we're going to riding with that for him. And in baseball, how about Jack Flaherty, more than 3.5 strikeouts? He's historically handled the Rangers pretty well, and he's been dealing in his recent outings. So that's it. That's the play. You can mix it and match it however you want. Trust your gut, or you can do a lot of research and try to lock down some great picks. Prize Picks also is available in all 50 states, including right here in the great state of Texas. So if you haven't jumped in yet, now's the time. Download the app, use the code HMA, play $5, and they'll give you $50 instantly. That's the code HMA5, gets you 50. Simple. And as always, play smart, play responsibly, and play Prize Picks. Thank you very much to our friends over at Prize Picks. All right, a couple of questions here we'll get to, and then we'll get back to some of the topics of the day. B. Brad wants to know, why are you in Idaho? That is so random. CB wants to know what time it is here. It's 1:30 here, CB. So I think I'm on in your time span, CB, on the Pacific Northwest. I'm here because my wife's family lives in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is like a resort town. A lot of Hollywood celebrities come here and they vacation and stuff like that. So it ain't a lot of brothers up here. So usually when I'm spotted around town, they think I'm a celebrity of some kind. They usually think I'm like, you people looking at me like, oh, is he an athlete, rapper? No, but I still act like I'm a celebrity up here. But it's fun. I always have a good time, and I'm up here visiting family so that my baby girl can see Nani. So we'll be here till like Wednesday. And then I'll be back in town.
Great spot, right, Rod? I mean,
it's beautiful. I mean, there's literally like a mountain.
Yeah,
right behind. I probably like a half a mile from the house. I literally can just go hike up a mountain.
You're like 30 minutes from Gonzaga University or something like an
Yes,
hour.
they're all Zags fans here. Everybody
all
is
Zags fans.
They're all Zags fans here. Zags and Seahawks fans. But this is a 49er household here, but most of them, they're just Zags fans. So that's why I'm in Idaho. So if I have technical difficulties or the lighting ain't right, I apologize about that, guys. Doing our best. All right.
Hey, Rob, we got a little news. Sarah, I think Sarah Stephanie brought it up in the chat. But Jada Bediako committed to Texas women's basketball. She is a backup big. Hasn't really played a ton of minutes in college basketball. She's out of Marquette, but announced her transfer to Texas per our wonderful OTF community member. Played about 10 minutes a game each of the last 2 years. So not necessarily an impact player, but a depth piece on the interior for Vic Schaefer.
All right, there you go. Hopefully, things are starting to heat up for Vic Schaefer a little bit. I know Longhorn basketball fans have been concerned about that. All right, let's hit some questions, and then we'll get back to the topics. Yes, OU sucks. Love that handle. Said, hey, guys, what about the effect of playing Mizzou and LSU on the road, then playing Arkansas right before the A&M game? I'm saying that is a sneaky stretch to me too. Yes, OU sucks. I brought the Mizzou matchup. I know people aren't high on this Mizzou team because they've lost a lot, but they will have one of the top 3 to 5 best running backs in college football. Jerry already brought that up with Ahmad Hardy. Their offensive line is actually going to be one of the more experienced offensive lines in the SEC. And I believe they've named their starting quarterback, Austin Simmons.
Yeah,
I believe Drinkowitz has name. And Missouri fans, I was actually doing some research for our kind of preseason schedule breakdowns, and this is the earliest that he's named a starting quarterback when there's actually a competition. This is the earliest that he's named a starting quarterback since he's been there, I believe, for Missouri fans, when there's actually a quarterback competition. And he said because he thought last year one of the mistakes they made was deciding too late on who the starting quarterback was going to be, and he wanted to rectify that. So Austin Simmons, who is the Ole Miss transfer, right? And actually, did he start for Ole Miss?
He started until he got hurt. Then Chambliss came in. It was over.
Then it was over. Yeah. So we don't know if he's good or not. Like we don't really know if he's good. But Lane Kiffin liked him. Lane Kiffin likes you. You know you got a little something to you.
You got a chance.
You got a chance. So he might be a player we got to see. I think Drinkowitz is actually one of the better young coaches in the. I forgot how young Drinkowitz is. He's like 44, 40.
Yeah. What he's got into an interesting point where some colleges are like, he was brought up for Florida, he was brought up for Auburn. Some colleges are worried about, like, oh, is he a great interviewer? Does he bring all this energy? Is he that guy? I'm like, I don't know, dude. He wins.
Yeah,
like, I don't know what we're all looking for here, but the guy's a winner. I mean, he's proven he can win. And, if he hadn't lost all his quarterbacks last year, they might have been in playoff contention.
Yeah.
I mean, they might have been a playoff team. It's not out of the equation.
No, that defense was tough. That defensive front was one of the better defensive fronts in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, they struggled out of the gate. They had the loss to Virginia, right? But Virginia ended up going on and winning games.
It was a good team. Yeah.
It was a good team. And you look at that and say, man, Missouri finished 4-4 in the league because you lost your top 2 quarterbacks, right? I mean, they just lost too much.
Yeah.
But even when you look at that team, you say, so y'all went through all these quarterback issues. You lost to Alabama at home by 3. You lost at Vanderbilt by 7. A&M got away from you at home.
Bad matchup.
Really good. A&M was good then before Moss got hurt. They could run the ball in your butt.
Yep.
At Oklahoma, 17-6 on quarterback 3. I mean, Virginia was obviously in the bowl game, 13-7. But, I mean, you look at it and they lost by 3.
Drinkowitz can coach. He can coach now. He can coach, man.
He can coach. So you know it's going to be a competitive game.
Yep.
You know it's going to be a competitive game. He's a 6th season as a head coach. And, I mean, if you just look at what he's done in his career, his 1 year at G5, he was 12-1. Then he got the Missouri. And it takes some time to build it back. But he was 11-2 and 10-3. And he ended up 8-5 last year. But if his first team quarterback's healthy all year, he's winning double-digit games.
I was going to say, he's going to win 10. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a good coach.
Yeah, so I'm with you, though. Yes, OU sucks. That is a sneaky stretch of the schedule that I don't think we're talking about enough. But it's going to be a lot of hype on that at LSU matchup. But when you leave home after that Mississippi State game, you got 3 out of your last 4 games are on the road. Now you got that stretch where you play at home a ton, or you're the home team that you play at home, but that's a tough stretch to be at home. Think about it. That's what Texas probably had their most growing pains and probably grew up the most was when they had that epic road stretch this past season with the Mississippi State and the Kentucky. So it takes a lot of maturity to win on the road in the SEC, especially in times of desperation. And that in November, desperation is rampant. Because everybody's a little bit desperate. It's winning time right there. All right, good question there. Doug says, hey, Rod and Jerry, any football recruiting nuggets, sir?
Staff's been on the road. Look, nothing's changed. I think Texas is in a really good spot for John Meredith. I think Texas is in a good spot for Barack Williams. I think Brian Swanson, the offensive tackle from South Oak Cliff. I think Texas remains in a good spot with some guys that we've been reporting they're in a good spot with. Texas has been a good spot for Noah Roberts. We've been reporting that since he was back at Texas for the spring showcase, air quotes for the podcast. I think there's a few guys that Texas is in a good spot with. I think they're in Montre Jackson, one of those guys as well. Then I think they're in some real knockdown, drag out battles. Jabarius Guerra, the edge out of Viger High. We had an interview with Derwin Fields yesterday, which we'll have for you this weekend. Derwin Fields, I thought, was a really good get. He can really rush the passer out of a school where a lot of those kids end up at Ole Miss. But I think Loudon Clark, Will Muschamp, those guys did a good job in that recruitment. I think Texas is doing some good things in recruiting. We'll see if any of these guys pop before like the June official visits. We'll see on that. And then I think there's going to be some guys they're really battling on. And, you look at in the secondary. Secondary is really big. A guy like Isaiah Udom, who Texas loves, and I think he's underrated nationally. SMU's fighting really hard to try to get him to stay in town because they got a little NIL war chest behind him in this class. They're fighting really hard. We'll see what happens. I think Udom likes the idea of being at Texas, but we'll see what happens there. And, in wide receiver, Bryson Thrower, I think Texas has been doing well. Then maybe they slipped that back a little bit. He visited Illinois, Texas, Texas A&M. Right there, people say, why Illinois? Justin Stepp, the receivers coach at Illinois, has recruited this state a long time. He was at SMU. He's been at South Carolina. He's been a couple other places, but he's always recruited Texas. So I think I think they're in a good spot for a handful of guys who are really good players. Then I think they're right there, whether you're 1A or 1B or 1 or 2 for a number of others. Joakim Gouda, the linebacker, the inside backer, the thumper, Texas, Georgia. Probably Georgia's a slight leader, but he's been to Texas twice this spring. So somebody asked about Jerry Outhouse, the safety corner, probably safety long-term from North Crowley. He decommitted from Georgia. I think UCLA got him. Texas just never made a move there. Texas never really recruited him hard. I think they want more pure corners in this class, and they love Isaiah Udom. They love the safety from Broken Arrow that committed to Oregon. He's a stud. Now the other safety they really likes out of Thompson High in Alabaster, Alabama, Junior Tuopo, who's scheduled to visit in June.
All right. Good stuff, Jerry. Appreciate it. Not Show Avenger 89. Like that handle too. Says, who covers Jeremiah Smith on the Muschamp's defense, Littleton or just wherever he lines up? It's a good question.
Yeah.
I think Muschamp's going to play a lot more man. I say a lot more man. I think the man rates will increase under Muschamp. I think the press man rates, he'll play more bump and run too under Muschamp. Now, whether you shadow a guy is a different conversation. And Notre Dame does this sometimes because Notre Dame plays a lot of man. They don't care who knows it. They play a ton of press man, and they got the best.
And they got the best in the court.
When you got a Leonard Moore on your team, like, yeah, Leonard can follow him. I don't care.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless you got a guy of that kind of high level ability. I mean, Leonard Moore's going to be a top 5, top 10 pick at cornerback. I don't know if Texas will shadow Jeremiah Smith because it really does challenge the structural integrity of your defense because a lot of the rules are going to change if they motion him out or they line him up in the flex or they line him up in a bunch or they, wherever they line him up, depending on how you want to cover him, you're really going to have whoever your shadow player is. Say you got Grayson Littleton covering him. He could be the corner on this play. Then he could end up being the nickel on this play. Depending on where they line him up, he can end up being the safety on a play, but he's still covering Jeremiah Smith. But think about how everybody else's job changes and all the rules for everybody else changes based on one guy. I don't see Texas doing that because Texas has, even this was PK's defense, but they had a pretty effective game plan for defending Jeremiah Smith in 2 straight games against him. Like he never went off against Texas. Even game earlier in 2025 season, he didn't go off, and he didn't go off in the playoff game against him either. So I think, honestly, Muschamp may take a little bit of PK's game plan and use it against him. Not strictly the whole thing, but he's definitely going to take some of that because you can make the argument Texas has defended Jeremiah Smith as well as anybody in the country.
Yeah.
He ain't to defend.
Yep. No, and look, guys who are as good at coaches as Muschamp are, they don't walk into every game and every season saying, I have all the answers. That's not the way the best coaches are, Rod. If they see something that will help them and help their team, they will implement it and they will use it. All Will Muschamp cares about is winning the game, not doing it his way, winning the game.
Yeah, because like I said, I can't think of you. I got to go back and look at Jeremiah Smith's history. Matter of fact, I sent you a clip, matter of fact, Jerry, earlier about Cignetti was asked about, Kurt Cignetti, the Indiana head coach, was asked about Jeremiah Smith. And I think his quote was, let me make sure I get it right. He said, he's a freak. He's a great player. He's the greatest at that position I've seen at that age. And he's a weapon. And then somebody was like, well, didn't you coach Julio Jones? And he's like, yeah, I coach Julio Jones. And I guess they were trying to get him to go, hello, didn't you want to take that back now? Do you coach Julio? And he didn't take it back. He literally went on to say, comparing Jeremiah Smith to Julio Jones, very similar. Jeremiah Smith, a little looser, more flexible, I think a hair faster is what he said. So, yeah, that's quite the praise. That's quite the compliment from a guy that knows, I think knows both of them really well, played against one, coached against one, and obviously coached another one. What are your thoughts? You've seen Jeremiah Smith.
So look, man, Mello, who comes on our chat, Ohio State fan, he was getting on me about it. You know, I love Jeremiah Smith. Like, I saw him at an Under Armour campus junior year in high school down in Miami. He dropped 3 balls in the breadbasket that day. And then, you know, and I love him. He's going to be the number 1 receiver drafted. He dropped 2 against Texas last year in the breadbasket. Yeah. And the only thing that will keep him from being one of those guys is if over time he doesn't have the special hands with the special skill set and frame. That's the only thing that can stop him, other than the major injuries, which nobody can predict. Is the only thing it would be if he had a couple, 3, maybe his drop rate was 1% higher than the greats. I think that's really all there is for him right now. Is that right? If his hands over time prove to be like the greats, then he has a chance to be a gold jacket player. That's how talented he is. Yeah.
No, I'm doing that. I would love. I might do a little research on that because I would love to see how often receivers improve on that because I think it's something you can improve on.
I think so.
I've seen guys. I remember LSU. Matter of fact, before Joe Brady got there, I remember one of the big issues for LSU was drops with their wide receiving core, and all of those guys were uber talented guys, but they had a lot of drops. And Joe Brady came in with all these different drills in the offseason.
Yeah,
you know, about hand drills that he took from the Saints and from Sean Payton, and they improved drastically. In that department from one year to the next. So I think you can get better. Matter of fact, that's going to be Ryan Wingo.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's going to be an issue for Wingo. Wingo, scouts love Wingo's skill set. I mean, he's fast, he's big, his frame. What they believe about Ryan Wingo is make him catch in a crowded space. Just make him catch in a crowd. Just make him catch with some people around him, some hands in his face. Just a guy like Rod B, 5'8" dude, slapping him on the wrist, and then he'll drop it. And Sean McVay always calls him, I like guys with aggressive hands, where they their hands attack the football and they never wander away. You ever see a guy run a 6 route and then he kind of starts wandering back from the football like this? And they're like, no, I want a guy to go get the football.
Attack the ball. And that's going to be, Wingo's got to improve on that too. Yeah.
If he wants to take the next pick and be an early round draft pick, he's got all the other things, but that's one of his knocks is that I don't know if he's got sure hands.
Well, I think that's going to be a huge draft difference for him. Like some people have him late first round. Some people probably have him early second. If he doesn't improve that drop rate this year, I think he'll be a late second no matter how talented he is. Because his drop rate has to improve this year for him from his draft status. And yes, for the Texas team, we get that. But we're talking him individually right now. I think it's going to be a gap of a full round for him. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, because it's a deep wide receiver draft too. If he is indeed coming out, it's a deep wide receiver draft, and
he has the ability to go late first round.
I agree with that.
If the drop rate doesn't improve this year, he may go late second. Yeah. That's a lot of money difference.
Yeah, it's huge money difference. But that's a good point though. All right, thank you for the question, Natural Avenger. The_Bunk Moreland, he says, coming out of spring, what's your vibe on the Ohio State game? I think this Texas team might shock the nation, not just by winning, but outclassing Ohio State. Man, outclassing Ohio State is tough because the talent at Ohio State is just phenomenal. I mean, they just showed it in the draft, right? And it's kind of a knock on Ryan Day, a team that talented, because they were easily the most talented team in college football last year. They should have went a little bit further in the college football playoff, but they just been stockpiling talent for so long, and they put it in the league in the highest rounds, in the higher rounds. So they can still recruit. Like people still want to go play at Ohio State because they're competing for championships, winning championships, and putting guys in the league. So I don't know who all the backups are. I know they some ballers. Like I know they're blue chips and 5 stars and 4 stars. So their only issue with me, I'll say this, is the coaching element. Now Arthur Smith is going to be the new offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Arthur Smith has a really he has a questionable history in play calling, right?
Yeah.
And Longhorn fans know this because y'all probably followed Bijan when he went to Atlanta and Arthur Smith was up there calling the shots and literally not making this up. There are times where he admitted, I'm just using Bijan as a decoy so we can get some other things done. And everybody was like, no, he's not a decoy. He should be the main attraction for even if everybody knows he's getting the ball, he's one of those guys that's so damn good, it doesn't matter. If everybody knows he's getting the ball, he still can make plays. So Arthur Smith would be, if you're going to outclass them, maybe that's the questionable element because Matt Patricia has proven himself at the college level now. Yeah. Arthur Smith has not. Not even Arthur Smith ain't really proven himself at the NFL level or the college level. That's the questionable hire to me. And not saying it won't work, but if you're going to outclass Ohio State, it won't be talent because they got tons of talent. It may be just a flaw somewhere in the design, and maybe Arthur Smith is that flaw.
Yeah. And I do think you love playing them early this year. They lost 7 of their top 10 tacklers. And I know they have talent. They even had to go into the portal to get the 2 Alabama D linemen with James Smith and Quay Russo, very talented, future draft picks. But that showed me a little something when they went to Alabama to get 2 D linemen out of the portal. And I think I love playing them week 2 because, they've lost all 11 starters have been drafted off the team that beat Texas 2 years ago. And they got NFL guys, but are they going to be – how many years in a row can you have that great of players on one side of the ball? And losing 7 to top 10, your top 5 guys, top 5 tacklers on that defense. I like playing them week 2 to go along with what Rod said, but here's my number one thing, my biggest, like Rod says, all the buts. Texas has to physically beat them in their own house. Because Ohio State fans say, well, our offensive line is the question. It seems like everybody's saying that about now. But they have a 1,000-yard back returning. That was as a freshman. He's a problem. And so Texas has to physically go take the football game from Ohio State. Because Ryan Day's, Rod, they're going to come in and say, if you physically win the line of scrimmage, we'll walk out of Austin with a win. So Texas has to win the game physically in Austin, no question in my mind.
I agree with that. Yep. And they got a veteran QB who's going, he knows how not to make the big mistake in those big games. All right. Thank you for the super chat. Oh, got a super chat here. Thank you for that. CB's up first. CB, thank you for the super chat. Says, Rod, did you do with your cleats like Sims said Shanahan did with his cleats while at Texas? In the clip I posted, thoughts on Sims' breakdown of Shanahan. Was he talking about Spatten? I didn't see the clip. I haven't watched it yet. I actually kind of bookmarked it and saved it.
I haven't watched it.
I haven't watched it, CB. So let me know. Is he talking about like the spat with the shoes? Is that what he's talking about? Because that was a receiver thing. They did a lot of that. I did not do the spat, like all around the outside of the shoe. Maybe that's what he's talking about. I know Shanahan and the wide receivers were big on that. I didn't do that. Matter of fact, I didn't even – Mac would get on me. I didn't take my ankles a lot either. Because I didn't like, because Mac didn't like that. Mac wanted all the guys to say, I didn't like to do it because once you start doing it, like you gotta keep doing it. And I never did it coming out of high school, and I never did it at Texas. I was never a guy that needed to tape his ankle. I started doing it late, maybe my NFL career. I think I started doing it because I had some injuries at that time afterwards, but I never did it. So maybe you're talking about Spatten. That's the only thing I can think of. CB, let me know. It looked good though. It was clean, especially on the icy whites. Ooh, it's nice. But let me know if that's what you're talking about, because I got to check out that Sims breakdown of Shano too. I'll tell you my breakdown of Shano.
Oh, okay. Sims said Shanahan wore. There you go.
Size smaller cleats, cut the big toe so he doesn't get turf toe. I did not do that. I did not do that. No, I did not know he was doing that. And man, I'm trying to think of how that would even work. Smaller cleats and cut the big toe. So he basically the big toe had a little flap so it could like be flexible. So he would, man, I don't know, but I will say Shano, I can see the turf toe thing because his cuts were fantastic. Like he was really like he was known for his 6 route. He had a famous 6 route, which is basically like 12 to 15 yards in, and it was magical because he was great footwork. His footwork was phenomenal. He worked a lot of it. So maybe because of the footwork and the big toe, maybe he had to deal with like some potential injuries, and he was trying to take precautions. So I don't know. He never explained that to me. That's an offensive thing that they got that deep into it. But thank you though for CB. But I'll tell you, for Shano though, I do think, like I said, footwork was kind of his X-Man quality as a receiver. He had decent hands. He didn't even have any like long speed or anything. But footwork wise, Shano he'd make you look bad out there running that 6 route. He probably got everybody at least once, even the elite guys. He got you on that 6. And when he did get you, I was like, that's the way he's gonna run. That's his money route. All right, thank you, CB. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you for the super chat as well. And it's beautiful up in your neck of the woods, even though down in Austin, it's a little wet. Catch the Wave X says Coleman dodged a bullet by not going to Tech. That said, he was ever so close to picking them. Yeah, that's a great point, because he went from that Auburn situation right into another situation with a.
Yeah. I mean, look, that would have been bad. I think his Mulligata, being obviously his agent, wasn't going to let him get into a. He was going to play in the SEC. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it's a good point. And Mulligata, I think Mulligata might be the best agent in all the football right now. Like, he's in that conversation. He's that good. I call him the Johnny Cochran of football agents, because
if the team don't fit, you must have quit.
If you get Deshaun Watson a fully guaranteed deal, Jerry, coming off a season where he didn't play at all, and there were suspicions and allegations of sexual misconduct, and they still said fully guaranteed, no agent in the NFL could have done that at the time. Like, that's like getting OJ off when everybody knew. Anyway.
By the way, the one thing is we can talk about now, I think, that we couldn't talk about at the time, is I think was an element of Mulligata wanted Cam Coleman to be close to him his final year in college too, because there's a lot of shenanigans go on in the agent world.
Very true.
And I think having him in Austin, he can go out and work out over with Jeremy Hills and those guys.
It's a collective.
Get him ready, keep him protected, keep everybody away from him, keep him really focused on football, train with the people that he's comfortable with, kind of get ready for the season, then on to the NFL draft.
I never thought about that, Jerry. That makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot.
I mean, he was never going to USC. No agent that is based in Texas, it was going to let him go to USC and be out there in LA for months. No chance that was happening.
Yeah,
we couldn't say all that at the time, but there was no chance that was going to happen.
Love it. Okay, speaking of Cam Coleman, I did see there was a graphic by Pro Football Focus they put up recently about Cam Coleman. Just talking about his production on contested catches, something I call him the King Kong of the contested catch, because he's really freaking good at it. They have him with a 93.4 receiving grade on contested targets in 2025. To give you perspective on that, so Pro Football Focus say he got a 93.4 out of 100 grade on contested targets in 25. I went and looked to see what receiver has, period, in the last 4 years, gotten a 93 receiving grade, period, just to give you context on it. So just not on contested target, just a receiver, the best receiver in college football. Can they get a 93.4 grade from Pro Football Focus? Nobody in the last 4 years has gotten a grade of 93 or higher from Pro Football Focus, like, period, in their receiving grade. But on contested targets, they gave him a 93.4. So just to give you perspective on that, by the way, they got him with 5 touchdowns on contested targets. He only had 5 touchdowns last year. So they're saying all of his touchdowns came on contested targets. They're saying 45% of his yards came on contested targets last season. I gave you guys the stat earlier that on deep contested targets, 20 plus yards down the field, he has an 81% catch rate, which is the highest catch rate on deep contested targets in the history of College Football Focus. His life is going to be so much easier.
I don't think Jackson Arnold had the ability to throw him open.
Right? That's crazy. That's nuts, man.
Yeah.
So, just throw it out there. Like, they're basically saying that, in Sark's offense, because I believe I looked at all the wide receivers that are coming out next year, and it's a deep class, he'll have the lowest slot rate of the receivers coming out and the lowest yak yards after the catch per reception. He'll have the lowest yak numbers and the lowest slot rate numbers. Both of those are kind of cheat codes, especially in Sark's offense. He puts his number one guys in the slot a lot to give them favorable matchups and a two-way go. And he loves yak daddies, essentially run to daylight philosophy, giving you easy completions where you can obviously have the opportunity to get the yards after the catch, to run after the catch opportunities. He didn't get that at Auburn, and he did not get a lot of, like you said, like Jerry said, where he's schemed open and thrown open. He didn't get a lot of that. He had to work for everything he got at Auburn. Life will be easier at Texas for a lot of reasons. So,
hey Rod, there's 2 comments here that I think are interesting. Joshie Manning, because it's funny how they just showed up back to back. Maybe NIL Rev share saw it. I think OU is going to be our toughest game next year, maybe by a country mile. Tell me why I'm wrong. NIL and Rev share came right behind it and said Texas hasn't beaten OU 3 times in a row this century.
Oh, damn.
There you go. There's your answer, Joshie. Yes.
That's good. That is good. I didn't even think about that. And the reason I can say it is because Venables is hearing it now. Because just like how Mac heard when Mac couldn't beat Stoops, it's like you only did it. I think Mac did it one time. That was like his Stoops' first year, and then he couldn't do it again to 05. And Longhorn fans would not let him forget about it. And Oklahoma fans are not letting Venables forget, like, oh yeah, you went to the playoffs, but you need to beat Texas. Okay. You need to beat Texas.
So Rod, add that to the layer of the schedule. Yeah. So you have Ohio State, you go to Tennessee, you go to LSU, you go to Missouri, and you have 2-game winning streaks over your rivals. At Oklahoma and A&M. And that ups the stakes even more. So that makes the schedule even tougher, the fact that you beat Oklahoma and you beat A&M 2 years in a row.
No, you're right, Jer. I agree with that because
we know Texas is going into A&M this year after beating them down pretty much when the rivalry returned. That was a beat down in a rivalry game, right? Yeah. And they all can't be 65-0 or 50-14 or whatever. But A&M never felt like they could win that game. That's a beatdown in a rivalry game if you never feel like you can win the game. So that's add even more to the schedule this year is that Texas has beaten Oklahoma and A&M 2 years in a row, and something comes with that year 3.
That's a lot of pressure on Venables and on Elko to get that win over Sark. So I'm with you, man. The desperation factor is going to up the ante for those matchups. But I didn't know that nice little stat. Texas hasn't beaten OU 3 times in a row.
I didn't know that either.
Woo. It makes sense though, because you're going to be on the hot seat. Your job is in jeopardy if you lose either side, losing to that rival 3 times in a row. That's going to be a price you have to pay for that. So that's a good point in Allen Rev Share. I agree with you on that about Oklahoma and John Mateer. Texas got a little lucky last year just because he wasn't healthy. He's coming back. He's going to be in that system now with Ben Arbuckle for like 4 years now. He's been in that system. Remember we talked about that with Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel was one of the keys. He was in that system with Jeff Levy. He had been in that system for 4 years or something like that. And those kind of quarterbacks, they can find solutions where other quarterbacks can't because they're so intimately acquainted with that system. So that's another thing to think about. And David Stone, speaking of mock drafts, he's a D lineman, right?
Yeah.
A lot of folks got him as one of the top, if not the top D tackle, potentially come. They got him in that conversation.
And the other one, Jaden Jackson, will get some mention too in some late first, second rounds as this thing goes along. They have 2. They're really strong.
Yeah, and Venables gonna have a top. He will have a top defense.
Yes.
God, they were a top 5 defense when Texas played. And they didn't play like it. But since why did Venables say he started calling the plays? Because I'm good at it. Coaches don't say stuff like that unless they know, man, I'm better than most. I'm better than 95% of these dudes calling plays.
That was the best thing that ever kind of maybe had forced on him or the decision he made. He said, if I'm going down, I'm going down with my play calling on defense.
Yep. And I respect it. I respect it. Yeah, and they were great at it. All right, before we get out of here, I know we're getting close to the end of things. Jerry, would you do us a favor and tell our friends about Hayes City Store, one of my favorite places to go?
Yes, absolutely. There are very few restaurants you go to, and they're immediately special. That is Hayes City Store. Once you park the car, walk up there, you hear the live music, you see the outdoor area. It's just a really good vibe. Oh, and they also have Texas scratch-made Texas comfort food, famous truck stop enchiladas, award-winning chicken fried steak, homemade desserts. All of it's absolutely delicious, and all of it's also from scratch. There's live music 6 nights a week, Friday, Saturday night, 50 beer taps, ice-cold long necks, and tasty margaritas. There are 13 TVs alone in their ice house, perfect for game days, and they even have brunch served on every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Hayes City Store is also dog-friendly. They have a tree net for the kids. Keep the kids occupied while you listen to music and have a couple of tasty ones. Join the folks out at Hayes City Store and bring your whole crew. For more information, check out the website at hayescitystoretx.com. What is Hayes City Store? It's uniquely Texas, and it's a great vibe there.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Let's also tell you, speaking of great vibes, about our friends at Garage Beer one more time before we get done with today's live stream. Garage Beer, the garage is always open, especially to get the weekend started the right way. They're not telling you about the fancy ingredients or their very unique process or their illustrious history of the brand. They know you only care about how it tastes, right, and how many calories. And it's only 95 calories, and I can tell you, it tastes great. It's crisp. It's refreshing. It's beer, flavored beer to be enjoyed anywhere you and your friends get together. The garage is always open. So I don't have my garage beer with me right now. I do need to go to the grocery store. And when I go to the grocery store, I'm looking for some garage beer. I got plenty at home, but I'm away from home right now. But nothing makes me feel like I'm at home than garage beer. So check it out for yourself wherever you do your shopping. And we appreciate Garage Beer for sponsoring our Friday live stream. Thank you very much. All right, we got, I think, one more question, and we'll get all of them. The_Bunk Moreland here says, Jerry, is Ty Knutson underrated by services? I'm seeing a disconnect between his current rating and being an Elite 11 QB.
I don't know. I think it'll be good opportunity for him at Elite 11. I'll say that. And he was a late addition to Elite 11, by the way. So obviously a couple of guys pulled out that were originally invited that. But what does that mean in 5 years from now? Nothing. I think Ty Knutson he'll do very well in that competition. I like what they do offensively at Smithson Valley. I think he has, from a schematic standpoint, there's some things that will help him in Elite 11. So I think he's going to do well. I think he's a good athlete. I think he's got good feet. I think he'll be an impressive guy. I think he's a football smart guy. They meet on the board. I anticipate some real positives coming out of Elite 11 about Ty Knutson. As far as his rankings, we'll see on this. This is his first, he hasn't really been to a lot of camps. This is his first bite at the apple, realistically. So let's see how he goes out there and does. I'm not a big Elite 11 guy, though. I've said this before, and I've covered it many years when I did this nationally. I mean, on-air competitions with quarterbacks, I think, can give you more wrong answers than right answers, honestly, because it's just and yes, if you look at the Elite 11 list, it's like, oh, all these guys are pros. Well, yeah, they pick all the best quarterbacks in the country, and they bring 50 of them together. There's going to be a lot of NFL draft picks out of it and guys that win awards and stuff. And I'm not knocking it, but it is the competition is what it is. If I had a camp with the 50 best corners in the country, about 15 of those guys are going to get drafted every year. It just is what it is. It's really smart what Elite 11 does. And I think there's some value in it, but I don't get too high or low off it. I mean, look, Malik Murphy was the accuracy champion at Elite 11, and he was not an accurate quarterback in a game. And he never has been in high school and never has been in college. He's always been a sub 60% passer right around there. So that competition has some value, but it can also lie to your eyes in terms of playing football. But with all that said, I think it's a great opportunity for Ty. He hasn't been in the national spotlight before. So this is going to be a really good opportunity for him to build his resume going into his senior year. He's won 2 state titles in a row.
Okay.
That's most important to me right now for him and the offense he plays in.
Yeah. He's a winner. Thank you for that, Jared. Appreciate it. And CB says they sell garage beer in Idaho. Well, you know what, CB? I'm going to the grocery store to get me some garage beer. I appreciate that. I appreciate you too, Jared. Great stuff as always. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes, Twisted This Weekend at Owls. Nobody does it better than Matthew. He's the real MVP. Thank you guys for all the super chats. Really appreciate you guys for all the participation in the show today as well. And if we missed any of your questions, just keep it tuned in here to On Texas Football, the YouTube platform. I'll go over to ONTexasFootball.com. Got great stuff happening over there with Hank South and my man CJ Vogel's writing up great stuff. CJ Vogel's a really good there you go. That's why Matthew's the man. Spring sale right now. You can get a year subscription to ONTexasFootball.com, $39.95. Use the code OTFOG. Just use that code OTFOG. That's how you become one yourself. But some great stuff. Actually, I just saw CJ had a great column over there talking about Sark's offense and how it used to be a homegrown offense when Sark first got here, and this 2026 offense expected not to be the homegrown recipe that he's had in previous years. Got half those starters on offense now are transfer portal guys. Big shift, but all kind of great content from Jerry and from Jeff over there as well, and Bobby. So please go check it out for yourself. For Jerry and for Matthew, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.